Thanks for the kind words, Scott. So first I want to thank God and my wife for being with me on this amazing journey. Without them, I obviously wouldn't be here. Obviously all the friends in the room, everybody kind of knows part of the story. My football journey started back at West Jefferson High School when I played against South Lafourche in 1977, and Bobby Hebert was playing. So from there I went to LSU. I thought I could play, so I walked on, and I found out I was too short for the line and too slow for anywhere else, so I was walking through registration. They threw me a rugby ball in the year of our Lord 1978. So this is my 41st year of being around rugby. It's been a sport that I've embraced. I've had so many friends. We've traveled around the world. We've had visitors come to New Orleans from almost every country. And we've gone from New Orleans Rugby Football Club. It's an amateur club. It's actually been around since 1973. So rugby's not new to the city. It's been around for a long time. We've been under the radar. We've been having a lot of fun. We've been having too much fun sometimes, but we continue to do it. Along the way, I helped start the high school league. All three of my sons play. A little bit to my wife's chagrin, but they're still playing. And so the New Orleans Rugby Club, they came around. They play rugby. And my oldest son, with our general manager, Ryan Fitzgerald, played on the New Orleans team that actually won a national championship. And at the national championship, we had three teams back then, the purple, green, and the gold. And the gold side, obviously New Orleans colors, the gold side was the first team, and they're the ones that went on and won the national championship. So when I hired our first employee, Ryan Fitzgerald, who played on that team, we're like, what are we going to call this club? And he said, what about the gold? I said, all right. So we are named after the team that won the national championship. Just give you a little background. We are rooted in New Orleans rugby. We're rooted in the city of New Orleans. And about 3 or 4 years ago, there was like-minded individuals, myself, that met in Houston and said, how do we take this great game in America and take it to the next level? How do we professionalize rugby in the United States? Because we've been following rugby. We went to the World Cup in 1991. Again, the World Cup's been around. It's probably the second or third largest rugby World Cup in the world. And we traveled. We were in Twickenham. We were in Cardiff Arms, and we saw these huge crowds. We saw what rugby was doing. Rugby had only went professional in the world in 1996, so it was an amateur game all the way until 1996. So we got a room in Houston. It was 6 other gentlemen that were kind of like-minded, been around rugby 30, 40 years. We kind of counted our rugby age, and all of us had been around rugby, amateur rugby, high school rugby, and said, how do we professionalize the sport? We had a great first commissioner, Dean Howes, who still is our commissioner emeritus. He put it together. He came from the MLS background, and he formed the league based on the MLS model. It's a single entity. Our players are through that, and so he guided us through our first 3 years. He's got us to a point where, as Scott has pointed out, we've grown from 7 teams to now 12 are playing, and we'll go to 14. LA and Dallas will be in 2021, so we have 14 teams. So for me, it's been an incredible journey. When just a funny story about why we're playing and tying it into the stadium. There was a project that had been on the books in New Orleans to build a soccer stadium. It was going to be in Algiers, and I kind of kept following it because I said, well, if you're going to have a soccer stadium, why don't we play some rugby there? This was 10 years ago. And then when I was going to acquire a professional rugby team, I checked back in and said, yeah, we're going to build it, we're going to build it. And I checked with everybody in New Orleans, and they said, yeah, we're building it. So I went and got the team, I signed on, and I got a professional team. I come back to New Orleans like, okay, we got the team, where's the stadium? Well, they're pulling the funding, we're not going to build it. So, okay, so where do you play professional rugby in New Orleans? So I happened to be involved in a project at Shaw High School with Father Lou Molinelli to help them build their stadium they wanted to build for a long time. This is a whole separate thing going on. So I get back, I call Father Lou and say, Father Lou, can we play rugby in that stadium? He goes, yeah. I said, can we sell beer? He goes, sure. So, the two right answers. So again, thank the Lord. We had a place to start. Literally, the January before our first April kickoff, there was no stadium, there was no pictures, there was just a field that was being scraped down to put something on. And so it's just by faith and by pushing through and really the help of our Jefferson Parish Councilman, Ricky Template's been with us forever. Actually, Ricky is the co-owner of the rugby club. He's been there forever. So just a little aside, but he's been a great friend as we've grown this game. So we were able, in 3 short months, to put up bleachers, to have 2,000 seats, we put up a nice, really kind of an intimate stadium, but it played well. We had a good time with Bobby. Bobby came to my game. So when I heard the baby cakes were leaving, first story, I called my good friend Hillary Landry and said, Hillary, what do you think? She goes, yeah, let's talk. And then she got Scott and Kyle together, and so magic has happened since then. We are just extremely excited to bring this wonderful sport to a venue where people can really have a professional atmosphere. With the help of ASM and LSED, we're gonna put it on to where it's an event that'll make everybody proud. The players are gonna play hard. We're gonna put on a great game. We're gonna win a lot of rugby. We're gonna create a lot of fun. I think when those teams around the league look at their away games, all those other 14 cities, they look at the away game and say, where am I going to go watch my team? They're all going to point to New Orleans. They're going to come here. So we're excited. Scott Walker, congratulations. We look forward to working with you and all of our friends here. So I'll be around. Any questions? We'd love to tell you more about this amazing journey. But at this time, I mentioned Dean House, our first commissioner, and we owe a real debt of gratitude to Dean for what he's done for MLR. But as owners, we saw that as this league grew, we need to get another commissioner involved with another level of expertise, with another level of involvement in professional sports, who can really commercialize this and take us to another level, help us understand how to sell tickets better, how to get sponsorship better, and how to put on a game day event that is going to rival any sport in the world. So we reached out. There was a lot of great candidates came along, and the one that stood up at the end is George Killebrew. George has been with the Dallas Mavericks. He did a soccer deal before that. He's been with Dallas Mavericks for over 28 years. His expertise in working with Mark Cuban is off the charts, and we are just so proud and lucky to have him on board. And like Scott said, we really thank him for flying in this morning to be with us. So, George.
Thank you. Good morning. Tim was one of the first owners that reached out to me when I became commissioner. He said, what is it going to take to get you down to New Orleans? I said, when do you want me? Living in Dallas, my wife and I come to New Orleans quite a bit, and I absolutely love this city. Now, as commissioner, you're supposed to be unbiased. I've never been a commissioner, so it's new for me, but I'm a little biased. Somehow, New Orleans ends up in the championship. That's a good thing for me. I love the people of New Orleans. They're kind, they're generous, and I love the food. And I like to eat. So really, really glad to be here. Thank you, Tim. Thanks, everybody. A little bit about the league first. As mentioned, we're a 12-team league on our way to 14. Our expansion cities are Dallas and Los Angeles for next year. And then there's a host of others that are trying to get in. I've had 4 very real discussions with great cities that see the value in rugby. Now, I'm not indigenous to the sport, fellas, so sorry. But what I've learned is rugby is a game that is loved internationally in many, many countries, that has not completely gained a foothold in the United States yet. And that's what we're here to do. This league actually, to Dean's credit as commissioner for the first 3 years, they got off to a pretty good start. I mean, we have a national television deal with CBS Sports Network. We've just now added, which we're doing 17 matches, we've just now added partnerships with ESPN and with Fox that will do an additional 17 matches. And so the comparison to Major League Soccer is an interesting one, right? So when Major League Soccer first got to the United States, it was kind of the same thing. It was a game that was loved internationally that had not gained foothold in North America. And you fast forward 20 years, and if you watch what's going on there, I mean, these teams are transacting for $350 million to get in, which is what Sacramento paid, and they have to build a soccer-specific stadium, which is another $200 or so million. So we've watched that sport grow. I think rugby's next. I mean, it's just by sheer demographics. When you look at what sports are on the rise and which ones are staying flat, rugby is next. And so I'm honored to be the commissioner and honored to be here in New Orleans today. Tim asked me to talk a little bit about my background. I actually ran an indoor soccer team, which may not sound like it's relevant, but it's really, those experiences are very relevant to this because it was all about selling tickets, selling local sponsorships, getting the media to pay attention to us in a very busy city like Dallas. And we had a lot of success there. We were actually the first soccer team in America to make money. We actually made a profit in our little indoor soccer team. that led me to the Dallas Mavericks owned that team at the time, and that led me to the Mavericks, where I've been for 28 years, the last 20 with a guy named Mark Cuban. Mark played rugby in college at Indiana University, and I'm developing this list of what I call rugby heroes. They're people that are very influential in the world that love this game, because we've got to unearth all of those and get them to help us. That's the goal. So that led me here. Just really honored. Went through the search process and came out on top. And I'm so bullish on this. Like I said, this is next. So get ready. But I do have to ask a favor from all of you in the room. We need to support these guys. We need to have our friends and family buy tickets. We need the local businesses to buy a sponsorship. We need the media to give us just below what you give the New Orleans Saints. Maybe just. We need the media to cover us and to write about us and talk about us, because it's going to take a village, right, to fill all these stands and really to take this thing to the next level. So that is my request. You already have Bobby Aber. Wow, that's impressive, man. I didn't know you were a part of this, but.
Well, we love tackling in New Orleans.
Contact.
That's great. We got to find all the Bobby Abers in this city and get them to love rugby. So with that, I think we're going to do questions later. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're doing questions later.
Okay.
You good?
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.